Hello and welcome, Threadheads. My name is Ashley, and before we begin, I would love to know how you're doing today. Personally, I feel amazing, but that's mostly because you're here, and maybe because I have some juicy stories for you guys. In fact, I have video footage to show how awesome I feel whenever I have to talk about Reddit stories. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. This week's theme is Karma Chronicles. We've got 3 stories lined up where karma doesn't rush, it takes its sweet time. Some people dedicate time to punishing cheaters, others will play the long game with a slow burn of revenge, and for some, the best revenge is just disappearing altogether. No explanation, no closure, nothing. Just gone with the wind. And as the usual unsolicited advice givers that we are, I want us to decide what kind of petty we prefer. If someone has wronged you, would you rather serve your revenge hot and fast or cold and calculated? Or are you more of a disappear and let karma handle it kind of person? As usual, if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like. If you would like to see other videos from me, you can subscribe and then hit that notification bell icon so you always get notified of when I post. Before we begin, I want to say thank you for being here, thank you for watching, and thank you for all the feedback that I've received so far. It means the world to me that you are here, it means the world to me that you returned, it means the world to me that you are watching, but it also means something else. It means you make bad choices, and that you're kinda nosy.
Who said that?
I'm not judging, trust me, I'm just as nosy as you are. Dare I say even more. I mean, I'm the one making the video and finding the stories. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into some stories. Ashley read it, and now, so will you. Going into the True Off My Chest subreddit, we have a post by Won Him Back Throwaway, and they say, "Now I have won my husband back, I am leaving him. I have secured an apartment for my baby and me, and I have put everything in order and prepared for custody, shared or otherwise. I have divided the money and transferred my share to a third account, and it will stay there until the divorce proceedings and the dividing of the assets. I found out that my husband was having an affair while I was postpartum. I thought that I would honor life because I love him, and it felt like my heart was broken into a million pieces. I knew that it was over, but my curiosity got the best of me. I wanted to know why. What was it she had that I didn't? Did he love her? I started reading his text, and everything was there. He felt like he was alive again. He was happy and excited. She's single and childless, so she had all the time in the world to make him her priority. He felt seen and desired by her. I was so confused because even with life coming between us, he was always my love, and I made sure he knew that every day. Still, it wasn't enough. I read thousands upon thousands of messages between them, and I started being everything he fantasized about. In the beginning, it felt weird and he was confused, but I just went on. Every time he made plans with her, I found a way to make him stay, or I made sure that I sent him exhausted to her. The messages became less and less frequent, and the passion and excitement subsided. Soon, answering her became more of a chore. The complaining started and him pulling away. He was happier at home, and he couldn't wait to come home. He started texting me again during the day. The sweetest text of how he missed me. He was his old self back. One day, what I hoped and waited patiently for happened. He ended things with her. He told her that he loved me and that now everything was great again. Her services weren't needed, in other words. I felt relief and finally I could move on. Now, I am preparing for my divorce. He will get the papers the day I leave for my new life in my new apartment. I know I will get a lot of hate for this because I have neglected my husband and pushed him to seek solace in another woman's arms when I apparently could have given him what he sought all along. And believe me, I will bear the guilt for the rest of my life. In my defense, I didn't do it intentionally. Our lives had just been altered drastically, and I was trying to navigate this new and exciting existence. I was immersed in this new kind of happiness that I thought I was sharing with him, and I was trying to get to know my new body that I couldn't recognize anymore. A real scary feeling. But he could have just come to me with his hurt. He could have talked to me about his suffering. He could have tried to make me understand, but he chose not to. He decided to deceive me, deceive us. He ruined our love, our future, and even our history. Nothing was, is, or will be the same again. Honestly, I'm so upset that OP thinks they have to blame themselves in any way, or that they should feel guilty for what has happened. They just had a baby. I'm sorry, he's not a dog. He's not an animal that needs to be given attention and cannot communicate when they haven't had any attention. She carried his child. She was still postpartum. And to find out that he was having an affair during one of the most joyous times in their marriage, he never tried to let OP know that he was having problems in the marriage or he wasn't feeling loved by OP. Instead, he went to someone who, by the way, OP correctly says is child-free. So whatever time she has to give to him is simply because there's no child there that needs attention. Instead of using his free time to take care of his new child and try to bond with that child, he is in the arms of someone else. Are you kidding me? OP is clearly a fan of the slow burn revenge, because I would not have been able to fake for a minute in that house that I was in love with him or that I wanted him anymore once I found out what happened. I hope she was asking him at least to use protection, because you never know. I'm so glad that OP has the strength to secure her future for her and her child. But if I were in OP's shoes, I would honestly say that is not enough revenge. I would have wanted to see him crash and burn, to be honest, because it's one thing to cheat on a regular situation, which again, isn't good. But it's another thing to cheat on your wife who just had your freaking baby. I would like his parents to know what kind of man they've raised. I want all our friends to know how horrible he is. There is no excuse for this. There is no justification. There is no both sides are to blame. I'm not hearing it. I don't agree that both sides are to blame. She was doing what she's supposed to do, which is take care of herself and her baby. And he was supposed to take care of her, the new mother, and his new baby, and bond with them. Instead, he's thinking of himself and himself alone. To me, cheating isn't just you betraying your partner. You've betrayed your child. Before this child can even walk or talk, they've already started off with a broken home. And OP and that child do not deserve what's happened. In the comments, Lost and Dumbfound says, I would have immediately raged at him and noped the F out for not only cheating, but cheating while I just had his baby. But I've always applauded petty revenge. Me too. You didn't neglect him. He got you pregnant and then started banging someone else. You are not neglecting someone if you are unable to do the same things as you could before you had a baby. You were being a mother, and instead of being a father, he was getting his wet. I wish you the best, and I hope you have screenshots of all the evidence of the affair, so he can't act like it came out of nowhere to others. And OP responds, I just felt ashamed that I lost my love, and I guess it made sense that I wanted to win him back. I get what you mean though. And then D58HFRDE7TXXFWBLMXBPF, oh my god, I'm out of breath, says, in the end of all of this, I hope you are truly happy. That's it. That's all I read the name for. That's it. OP responds, which is why I added this. I'm sad about the fact that he wasn't the one I would spend the rest of my life with like we dreamed. But on a general level, I'm happy. I am blessed with the most amazing little boy, and I am still young and beautiful. I have so much love in my life and great many supportive people. Romantic love will come. And Blazerman3131 says, just a heads up, moving money around prior to a divorce makes it seem like you are attempting to hide it and may bite you in the ASS during the asset division, especially if he does a discovery period. And OP responds, I am not hiding the money. It's still in my name, which means it's still a part of the estate. I don't want him making a withdrawal and make the money disappear. He can't access my account. A week later, OP comes in with their first update, and she has titled it, Moving Out April 1st. Probably the cruelest April Fool I could play on my dear husband. He always loved April Fool. I feel a lot of guilt and guilt-related pain. I know what I'm doing is so cruel, but I guess I will just keep going with my plans. There is no turning back now. Whenever I feel like crap, like I am the bad guy, I just remember their conversations. No, I am not the villain here. I will end the marriage, and I will tell him that it is because we aren't compatible anymore. Let him think whatever. I have decided that maybe I shouldn't tell him that I know about her. Let him run back to her once he realizes I am really gone. When my baby is older, we could tell him that we got an amicable divorce. No hurt or hard feelings. Two people who fell out of love. My boy doesn't need to know his daddy broke up the family. It's okay. You can hate me. And for a bit more context, Candy Red One says, apologies for going off into another lane here, but what in the absolute hell are all these hundreds of thousands of women doing engaging in affairs with married men? What is there to gain at all? Who is raising these girls? Is this the Twilight Zone? I'm honestly needing some answers here. And OP responds to that and says, well, I can only speak for the messages I have read. She is in love. He just happened to be married. I am an obstacle, a nuisance, so I guess it's love. Oh please, she can shove her love where the sun doesn't shine. OP's next update came months later, and they said, I have left my husband and filed for divorce. I am starting to think that it's not so bad and that I will be alright. Well, hello, and sorry for being so absent. I know that I promised an update once I got out, but I have been so busy adjusting to my new life. I have received hundreds of have you moved out and is there an update, DMs and comments. I hope everyone who asked will see this because I have no possibility to answer each and every one. Also, I don't know how many times I'm allowed to update here. Hopefully this is okay. I did exactly as I planned. I moved out after I left my husband divorce papers. I told him that I wasn't in love with him anymore and that I think we are better off as co-parents than as a couple. That I have found a new place and he could buy me out of our current home or sell the property once the divorce is finalized. He was in total shock, but probably not the same shock as I was in when I found out that he was cheating on me. He literally asked if I hit my head and even was telling people that he was worried that I had a brain tumor. He was very angry in the beginning and wanted answers. No answer was good enough. He would ask, is there someone else? No, dear husband, there isn't someone else, but there isn't you either. Oh, the audacity on this man is strong. I reminded him that we still had our son and to think about him before acting vindictive. Sure enough, he kept it civil around our son. One thing he kept asking is why and how long ago I have stopped loving him. He didn't get any answers from me. Other than that, everything has been fine with me. I am adjusting well. I still miss him, but at the same time, I feel like I could finally breathe. I feel like I have been living on shallow breathing for the past months and now I can take full breaths. Our families are very sad and mostly shocked, but honestly, they have been very understanding. There's no bad reason for divorce. Wanting divorce is a good enough reason for them. To want to separate, to not want to be with your partner. My ex-in-laws are still very active in my son's life, and they have been very cordial, if yet a bit cold towards me. That represented itself when 2 weeks ago, my mother-in-law, in a bit of a passive-aggressive tone, told me that my husband has started seeing someone. She apologized immediately and said that she just wanted me to know and be prepared that he had someone new, and yet I couldn't help but hear some vindication in her voice. I just answered, "Oh, do you mean Karen?" I gave the mistress this name for obvious reasons. She looked shocked and asked me, "Did you know? Did he talk to you about it?" I said, "Oh no, but she isn't new." I told her that he had been sleeping with her since I had just given birth, maybe even before that. I kept my voice very quiet and monotone like we were discussing the weather. I was already regretting my slip, but the news that he started seeing Karen again, while very much anticipated, still made my heart hurt. My mother and father-in-law just looked at each other. I don't know if they believed me, but then how would I have known about Karen when I have refused to see him in person since our breakup? So now everyone knows anyway, and I have learned that you cannot keep these things to yourself indefinitely. Since he found out, he has been calling and apologizing every day. He says, "Why didn't you tell me? How much did I hurt you?" He said that he loved me and never stopped loving me, that he was so sorry for everything and that he would do anything to have me back as his wife. My mother-in-law apologized too, even though she had no control over what her grown-up son did or does. It's not her fault. He writes that he loves me every night before bed. I hope this doesn't mean that he would make the divorce drag out, because I have failed my plan, but he seems to be less forgiving of the divorce when he knew that he was the reason for it than when he thought it was mine. Weird. The divorce is still processing, and if anything major happens, I will be here again if I haven't outstayed my welcome already. Ciao. I don't think OP should regret the slip that they've made, but I do find it fascinating. When he thought OP just stopped loving him, he was fine with the divorce. Well, not fine, but he was less contentious about it. But now that he's known that he is the reason and his cheating is the reason, he seems to be angry, which makes me wonder why, and I'm a little curious to know if anyone does have the answers to this. Why do cheaters often get angry when they are caught and try to blame the person they have cheated on as the reason for the relationship breakdown? How does the mind work to understand that they have done something wrong, but then upset at the person who wants to leave them for doing something that is so unforgivable? For instance, he asked OP if there was someone else when she said she wanted to leave him. To even ask that question, knowing fully well that you have been the cheater, is so bizarre. I would love to know if anyone does have answers. Why do cheaters themselves get angry at the person they have cheated on for leaving them? Also, I don't think he has suffered enough. It's so funny to me that when he found out about the divorce, his line of thinking was, it has to be a brain tumor. It couldn't have been, did she perhaps find out that I cheated? What a guy. Anyway, do let me know your thoughts. And in the meantime, I'm going to take a sip from my tea and then we'll move to the next story. For this next one, we are going over to the pro-revenge subreddit with a post by Waffles Are Forever. This was posted 2019, and he says, "Cheat on me with my best friend. I'll wreck your career and publicly humiliate both of you. Craphead and Sarah have been like family to my wife and I for several years, practically ever since we moved in across the street from them. The four of us were extremely tight. Our kids are the same age as theirs and are all good friends. We were one big family unit. We did dinner together a few times a week. We went on vacations together. I truly saw Craphead as a brother, and my wife and Sarah were very close too. 5 months ago, I was completely blindsided by the discovery of an affair between my wife and Craphead. My wife had left her email open on our computer, and I saw an email from her to her longtime therapist saying that Craphead would be joining her at an upcoming session again. What the F? My mind started racing. Why in the world would Craphead be going to her therapy sessions without my knowledge? I did a search and found some other emails to and from the therapist proving that Craphead had been going to sessions together with her for about 6 weeks. I checked our mobile phone account and discovered that since late summer, they had been exchanging hundreds of texts every day, peaking at nearly 500 per day by the holidays. Speaking of the holidays, my wife and I hosted both of our families, parents, siblings, etc. for both Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, and Craphead and Sarah joined us either for dinner or after dinner on both holidays. Text record showed that the entire time that they were at our house celebrating with our families, my wife and Craphead were texting each other across the room. They were doing that pretty much every time the four of us hung out, for months. And all day, every day, just in general. But what bothers me the most is that they were doing it with Sarah and I right there. I confronted my wife with the evidence and she admitted that, yes, she and Craphead had fallen in love. She said, "It just happened. I don't know how, but I love him, and I don't feel anything for you anymore. I'm sorry." They had gone on a school district trip together. Something had happened in her hotel room, and things had moved quickly from there. She explained, as I lay face down on the couch, unable to look at her, that they had made plans to move out and divorce me and Sarah, and while they did not plan to move in together immediately because of the children, they would probably do so eventually. The meetings with the therapist were supposedly mostly for the purpose of finding a way to break this to me and Sarah as gently as possible, because they were so very concerned for our well-being. Sarah and I are fairly certain that they weren't planning on telling us about the affair at all, and they were simply going to, quote, discover their feelings for one another several months down the line, after they had come up with some other reason to divorce the two of us. My wife moved out 2 months ago, and I was and still am utterly destroyed. I cry every day. I cried writing the first few paragraphs of the story just now. I worry nonstop about the impact on our kids. But I am also not exactly a shrinking violet when I feel that I have been wronged. And in this case, I was objectively very, very wronged. So, a couple of years ago, Craphead ran for a board of education seat as a pretty extreme underdog. I helped him with his campaign materials and debate prep, and my wife, a well-known school district employee, this becomes important later, got the word out as best as she could. Much to our surprise, he actually won in a squeaker by just a few dozen votes. Being on the board became the center of Craphead's world. He joined every committee that he could. This turned into the foundation of his affair with my wife, as they were constantly going to school events and meetings together on evenings and weekends. Once I discovered the affair, my thoughts turned pretty quickly to revenge, and it occurred to me that an extramarital affair between a member of the Board of Education and an employee of the school district was at least bad politics and possibly violated district policy. Making things far worse for them was that my wife was in the running for an open administrative position, and everyone knew that she was more or less guaranteed the job and the major pay raise that came with it. She had just finished her master's degree in school administration at the urging of her principal and the superintendent so that she could be promoted to this specific position. I had plenty evidence of the affair, texts from both of them admitting to it, text records showing that they were texting hundreds of times a day, emails to and from the therapist, etc. I considered simply emailing all of the evidence to the board and the superintendent, but felt like I, as the grieving, betrayed spouse, might not be seen as a credible source. So instead, I invented a fictitious, furious friend who is planning on showing up to the next board meeting and publicly shaming the two of them for their affair. I told my wife that I tried to talk this person down, but couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't show up and humiliate them publicly. As I expected, this led Craphead to conclude that the only option was for him to preemptively admit the affair to the board. The superintendent subsequently recommended that Craphead resign, which he did. Sarah said that he was utterly humiliated and crushed and barely got out of bed for a few days afterward. Once word of the affair and Craphead's resignation started getting around, the superintendent, a longtime friend of both my wife and Craphead, contacted my wife and tearfully informed her that it was no longer politically appropriate for her to be promoted to the administrative position within the district. The position that had been lined up for her was later filled by an outside candidate. This sent waves of confusion and rumor throughout the district, as it was pretty well known that my wife was getting the job. The day after she was informed that she wasn't getting the promotion, my wife and I, despite our crumbling marriage, took our son out to breakfast together on his birthday. A parent stopped by our table to congratulate her on her new role. She said thanks, then excused herself to go cry in the bathroom for a while. I let the dust settle for a couple of weeks, And then, right before my wife moved out, I let them in on my little secret. There was never a, quote, furious friend threatening to expose them in the first place. Just me. Word of all of this has gotten around our fairly small town, which Crabhead grew up in and my wife has worked in for nearly 20 years. My wife refuses to talk to me about how things are at work now, but I've heard from some people I know in the district that her formerly spotless reputation has taken a major hit. Crabhead, formerly a gregarious social presence in our neighborhood and at events and pubs in town, has completely gone underground and barely emerges to mow his lawn. He's moving out soon to a crappy little townhouse, which is all he can afford due to all the child support he's going to have to pay to his wife. My wife and Crabhead claim that they plan on trying to make things work together, despite all the public humiliation. I wish them lots of luck with that. I'm sure it would be a lot of fun to show their faces together in town. OP does edit their initial post to provide a link of his wife and Crabhead's texts and calls together over the couple of months. Unfortunately, I am a nosy person, but I'm not about to risk my computer and risk safety just to get some juicy context. However, if you are nosy or you're someone who wants to find out what OP has provided, the links to the stories are in the description box down below. Feel free to snoop around and see what he says. If you happen to click on it, please let me know what it says. OP also does edit it to answer some general questions that the comments were asking him, so that saves me time going through the comments to find out what OP says. The first question that OP answers is, "Are you and Sarah a thing now? You should totally be a thing. That would be awesome." What is wrong with people? OP responds, "No, we are friends. We have been incredibly important to each other since all of this started and have certainly gotten a lot closer, but not in the way everyone's thinking. This would all be so much harder to deal with if I didn't have her to lean on. She says she feels the same way about me. We are going through basically the exact situation with the same players after all. Crabhead hasn't moved out yet. Once he does, we plan to go back to getting the kids together more often like they used to. It will never be the same, of course. She already does come over with the kids from time to time, but it's just tough with Crabhead's constant presence across the street." Then the next question is, "Didn't your revenge hurt both sets of kids?" And OP says, "Not really. Crabhead has a day job. The Board of Education was his hobby and his passion, but this didn't affect his income at all. And my wife has been assured that if she wants to pursue an administrative position with another district, she will have glowing letters of recommendation from her superintendent and principal. It'll mean giving up a lot of work relationships in the process, but given the hit her reputation has taken, I'm guessing she makes that jump sooner rather than later. In the meantime, not moving to an administrative job means that she still has summers off with the kids." The next question is, "Why do you call her your wife instead of your former wife?" And OP responds, "We are working our way through divorce mediation, but it isn't final yet. It will be soon." And the last question OP answers is, "Why didn't you notice all of the texting your wife was doing?" And OP responds, "Well, I did. It was really starting to piss me off. It was excessive. She has a big social circle and does tend to text a lot anyway, but it was really getting over the top to the point where she was completely ignoring me and the kids. At one point in November, I asked her to agree to a no phones at the dinner table rule, which she agreed to reluctantly, but then would pout through dinner, and eventually she just started using her phone during dinner again. All that said, I was blind. Not only was the texting getting weird, but her relationship with Crabhead was starting to make me uncomfortable. Sarah noticed it too and agreed. We confronted them a couple of times about it directly, and they both swore up and down that it was just school stuff that they were talking about and there was nothing else going on. And for whatever reason, we believed them, probably because the mind tends to refuse to see things that it doesn't want to see. Thanks, by the way, for all of the support in the comments. I couldn't reply to everyone, but I did read them all, and I appreciate them, even the brutally honest feedback from people who feel that I did the wrong thing. Posting this and reading all of the responses introduced me to perspectives I hadn't considered about all of this, and reminded me most of all that the anguish I'm dealing with is pretty normal given the situation I'm going through. I had a pretty okay Memorial Day weekend, even though I missed my wife and thought a lot about the things we would probably be doing as a family. I'm taking my kids camping next weekend, and having something like that to look forward to and plan has me feeling pretty good today. In all my years of existing on this earth, I can confidently say I have never heard of someone taking their affair partner to a therapy session. When I think I've seen it all, Reddit shows me that I haven't seen enough. I do think I am very satisfied with OP's revenge scheme because, as a question in the comments has accurately mentioned, there are kids involved. So whilst they have taken a blow to their ego, career-wise, there isn't too much damage. So that way, even if Sarah wants to divorce Craphead, she doesn't have to worry about him saying with his income he cannot afford to pay for child support or maybe spousal maintenance. And I think OP and Sarah are right. I don't think they ever planned to confess. I think they would have found a way to try to divorce OP and Sarah and then wait a couple months or a couple weeks and then say, we found love in each other's arms. We were just both grieving the loss of our relationship. And because we're so close together, it just happened. You can't blame us for that. Love is love. Blah, blah, blah. Eat a bag of socks. I cannot say what I want them to eat, but you can figure it out yourselves. I do hope OP is able to get some help or support in dealing with his emotions. I think now that he has had some cold and calculated comeback, he needs to also get some help to deal with the breakdown of his relationship. I do know that divorce mediation is there to help you navigate through your separation, but maybe he needs some individual support himself to navigate his emotions. I am happy that OP is a petty person because, again, sometimes in the world we need people like OP to humble those of us who are thinking very selfishly in life. While not everyone might be petty, someday you might just meet someone who has the time and is willing to commit the energy to show you that actions may have consequences. So OP's first update was posted about 3 years later. He says, I've been getting a surprising number of requests to post an update to this story. I guess it blew up a bit on TikTok, which I don't use. Well, we use TikTok over here. If you want to follow your girl, you can find me on there at Ashley Reddit, which is the same on Instagram. Back to the story. Where to start? It's been a bizarre few years, especially with COVID thrown in the mix, which I somehow still never caught, despite my kids getting it twice each. Thankfully, just mild cases. I also never got COVID. I had roommates who got COVID. I had friends who I hugged and didn't know they had COVID at the time, but I never got COVID. Well, at the time that I posted the original story, I was obviously a wreck. Things actually got significantly darker for a while after that. My ex decided to start bringing Craphead around our kids just a few months after she moved out, which was really hard for me to deal with. I had never really dealt with serious depression before, but things got bad enough that my doctor more or less forced me to start on an antidepressant because I admitted to him that I was thinking about unaliving pretty frequently. I think this is where I should mention, trigger warning for the rest of this paragraph. I had a very specific plan and everything I needed to do it. The one thing that gave me any kind of relief was telling myself that if life got any more unbearable, I had a way out. So yeah, crap got hard, but I'm still here, and thankfully I don't think about that option anymore. I reluctantly decided to dip my toes into the online dating world, and after a number of short-term things that didn't pan out, I actually connected with someone, much to my surprise. We'll have been together for 2 years next month. She's absolutely amazing. We don't live together, and for the time being, we're both good with seeing each other a few times a week. Would I love to see her more? Yep. Am I ready to live with someone again and go all Brady Bunch with our respective kids? I'm not sure. for the time being, we have a lot of fun together, and that's more than good enough for me. As far as things stand with my ex and Craphead, they are still together, but there seems to be trouble in paradise because my kids report that they almost never see him anymore. My kids don't like him at all, and they just avoid him when he's around, according to my older one. When all of this started, she had seemed confident that they'd be living together pretty soon, but they still don't, and as far as I know, there are no plans in the works for that. They did buy a boat together, which I find hilarious for some reason. It just seems like the classic affair couple thing to do. Sarah took a long time to accept that her marriage was truly over, but once she did, she really did an admirable job of moving on. She engrossed herself in home improvement projects. She remains the same incredible mom that she's always been, and she's been in a friends with benefits type relationship, which is all she wants right now, with a nice, funny guy for almost 2 years. We hang out here and there, especially when my pool is open in the summer. We aren't nearly as dependent on each other as we were in the beginning, but we're still close friends. And no, still nothing more than that, which I'm glad about because the one thing this situation definitely never needed was more drama. My ex left the school district she was working for and took a job in a neighboring district. I have no idea what Craphead is up to, nor do I care. I hardly ever see him except at the occasional school events. For a while there, I was worried that he would look at me the wrong way and I'd wind up in jail for knocking him out in an elementary school cafeteria or something, but I just don't care enough about him anymore for that to be a concern. So all in all, life is pretty okay right now. I do miss being a family. I still have nightmares about all of this stuff and deal with intrusive thoughts at times. I fall asleep to audiobooks now to keep those thoughts at bay. Otherwise, I still struggle to sleep sometimes, but my girlfriend is amazing. I have an incredibly supportive family. I just officiated my sister's wedding a couple months ago, and I have a big dog who needs lots of walks, and that's a huge help for me on so many levels. I hope that update answered people's questions. Thanks again for all of the support. And then a year later, OP goes back into their initial post and just gives a short update and says, I can't believe how many requests I keep getting for updates on this story. It's been 4 years and I still get DMs and comments almost every day asking for updates. It's somehow spread to TikTok. What the F? I'm too old for this crap. I was a complete wreck when I originally posted this. When I reread it now, I'm just so effing glad I'm not that guy anymore. That guy was a mess. I posted an update 5 or 6 months ago. Really, the only update since then is that things with the girlfriend I mentioned have gone from this is fun to wait a minute to, oh, this is actually a real thing. I'm pretty much okay as anyone is these days. Overall, that is satisfying to me. It was a nice, safe enough revenge that it didn't blow up everything they'd worked hard for. I think it's funny to me that OP's ex-wife and Craphead didn't end up as seriously as they thought they would be. I think it's also indicative of the fact that most people who cheat tend to have this assumption that after they leave their initial partners, they'll be so happy with the person they're cheating with. But then they get together and it feels so anticlimactic. Again, I wonder why that is. It feels like the thrill of their relationship was the fact that they were sneaking around. So now that it's in the open and what made their entire relationship exciting is gone, it feels like they've just fizzled out. Personally, I do hope they stay together because that way the dating world is saved from 2 horrible people. We are doing a compare exercise for this video, so I wonder which method you guys prefer so far. Have you found yourselves connecting more with the hot and fast method of revenge, as we have in the second story? Or do you find yourself preferring the first story's method, which is more of a slow burn kind of revenge? Do let me know, and in the meantime, I'm going to take a sip from my tea, and then we'll move to the next story. Okay, before I even begin, I just want to say, I've searched my house, I've even gone to my neighbor's house, I have doom scrolled to the ends of the internet, I am currently even in talks with NASA and Katy Perry to go explore outer space, and I am making efforts to dig my way to the center of the earth, just so I can find where this man has gotten his audacity. So far, no answers yet. I just want you guys to know that I myself am perplexed with where he has found his effantry. So far, we haven't found it, but I'm going to keep searching and I will update you guys. This story was posted on the Relationship Advice subreddit by Mountain Inspector 298, and they say, I, 35 male, cheated on my wife, 36 female. She left without telling me anything. How can I get her back? Okay, real trigger warning here. There is elements of a stalking behavior, but that's mostly it. And also infidelity, but I don't know if that requires a trigger warning. This was posted last year, and OP says, I know, I'm aware of my faults. I know I screwed up. She and I had something beautiful. She is still the love of my life. We were together for 10 years, 2 years dating, and 8 years married. But I made a huge mistake and cheated on her. It was just once, just one damn time. Somehow she found out. I never knew how because I haven't been able to talk to her since then. I guess she found something on my phone. I came home that afternoon as usual and everything felt weird. The house felt emptier. I quickly realized that her things were gone. I panicked. I started calling her over and over, but her phone didn't even ring. Suddenly, I saw some papers on the table. She was divorcing me. Under the divorce papers, there was a note that said, "This is what you do with cheaters." I'm loving this way too much. This was the last thing I got from her 2 years ago now. Of course, I called the contact information for her lawyer, who has been the only bridge between us. But he just told me that he was her legal representative and she didn't want to see me. I fought. I got angry, but in the end, her lawyer just told me that it would be better if I got my own lawyer. I didn't want to. I absolutely refused to accept that 10 years of a relationship would end like this. I know I have failed, but I always wanted to fix it. I know that if she gave me the chance, I could make that sweet and special girl I met more than 10 years ago fall in love with me again.
Oh, that was gross!
Ew, my skin is crawling. Look at that. Oh, he made my goosebumps in the negative way. I know that I can make her forgive me. After all, many couples go through similar things and get over it. Why can't we be one more couple in that statistic? Why, after 8 years of marriage, am I thrown away like garbage for a mistake? I don't deserve so much indifference. I haven't been able to see her or even hear her voice in 2 years. 2 years of not being able to see or talk to the person you love the most is too much of a punishment. This situation has destroyed me emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I ended up consuming an unhealthy amount of alcohol, weeks of barely eating, not sleeping. I was a zombie for months. I was just functioning on automatic. I wanted to unalive, but I couldn't let myself unalive because I always held on to hope that she would come back. My therapist says it's really hard when you can't get closure from a relationship because your mind can't process that the relationship is over. So you're always thinking that person will knock on the door or that you'll wake up from sleep and they'll be there by your side. The divorce was finalized over a year ago. I'll be honest, I did not make it easy. I didn't want to get divorced and I still don't understand how we can be divorced. I asked for couples therapy, but she refused. I know from my lawyer that her lawyer advised her to go at least once or twice, but she refused. It took quite a while, but finally the divorce happened. I can't even describe this feeling. I felt and still feel like a piece of me had been cut out. I know I hurt her. I know I failed, but I think we all deserve a second chance. When I couldn't take the pain anymore, I decided to start therapy. My therapist doesn't give me advice to get her back. He only focuses on me moving on with my life, encouraging me to meet new people and go out on dates. But I don't want to. At this point, I'm not even interested in intimacy anymore. A few days ago, something happened that completely shattered me. I was having a few beers with my friend at my house. Let's call him Nick. We were both pretty drunk. I started talking about my wife, and he said to me, "You should put more effort into getting over her. She's over you and is happy having a life away from you. You should do the same. You can't live in this self-pity all your life." Something in his words hit me, but not in the way he expected. He spoke with a lot of confidence that my wife is over me and is happy now. How does he know that? At this point, I got angry and started pressuring him to talk. He refused. I pressed as hard as I could. I cried. I begged him to tell me if he knew something. I needed to know something about her until he finally told me. His wife has been in contact with my wife for the last year. They were great friends, and I remember Sabrina, my wife's friend, being very sad about losing contact with my wife. The thing is that my wife went to live in Norway, got married to a guy there, and is about 7 months pregnant. I felt like unaliving. I literally felt like unaliving with this information. How could she do this to me? How could it be that while I was crying, getting drunk, missing her, wanting to unalive every day, she was happily on the other side of the world, getting married, sleeping with someone, and getting pregnant by another guy? How could it be that she didn't have a child with me in many, many years, to the point that I thought she was infertile, but she got pregnant by this new guy so easily? Where did this guy come from? I have no answers for absolutely anything, and I feel like I can't go on with my life without these answers. The only thing I can think of is that she had revenge intimacy with the first Norwegian guy she came across and got pregnant and decided to keep the baby. Maybe she got married because she wanted to stay in that country legally, and I guess like in most countries, getting married is a good option for that. I don't know. These thoughts are ruining me. I refuse to think that she is in love with him. I need to contact her. I need to talk to her. I need to know what's going on because she acts like our 10-year history and 8 years marriage is nothing to her. I need advice on how to act. I feel the impulse to travel to where she is and look for her, but how could I do that? I don't know what city she's in. I don't know where she lives. I don't have a number to contact her. She closed her social media. Her family is small. They don't live in the same country as me, and all of them blocked me. I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do at this point. I still want her back. Yes, even pregnant. I feel like this is a nightmare and I need to wake up now. OP then adds an edit and he says, I read almost all the comments, and when I say almost all, I mean almost all. It's hard to process all the crap that has been said about me. I feel like you guys forget you are talking to a person and not an inanimate object. I thought I might find more empathy by sharing my story here, but there's just 2 people feeling empathy towards me, and their comments made me feel better. I'm not looking for validation or for anyone to say that what I did is okay. I know it's not, and I have to live with that daily. I will try to respond, but of course, I'll never be able to respond to all of the comments over here. I guess none of you know what it's like to have a broken heart and not be able to get over a person. You don't decide who you love, and you don't decide when you get over someone. It will happen when it has to. For those who doubt my story, unfortunately it is real. I would love this to be fake, but sadly it's not, and I have to live with this mess every day. Everyone assumes she's happy now. I don't know. I mean, how do you know? I haven't seen her in 2 years. I can't have any idea if she's happier or not. Being pregnant doesn't necessarily mean happiness, and being married either. God, OP's delusional. We don't really know the circumstances of this marriage. Maybe she got married because she got pregnant and felt alone in a country where she has no one and she just holds on to the other guy. Of course, I blame myself for this. This wouldn't have happened if I had been a better person and a better husband to her. But unfortunately, I can't change what I did wrong. The only thing I can do is try to make it up to her. But how do you make it up to someone who doesn't want to give you the chance to do so? Someone said that she doesn't owe me a second chance. That was hard to read, but I understand that maybe she doesn't have to. I never openly blamed her for the infertility issues. It was just a thought. We both went to the doctor, and in both cases, the test revealed that everything was fine. I never understood why she couldn't conceive, and the thought that she was infertile did cross my mind, and of course the idea that I was too. But in most cases of infertility, it is due to a female factor. Maybe that's why I thought that.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I hate myself for having to read this. Horrible things were said, like I would hurt my wife if she were here. I never physically hurt her, and I never will. I am not an abusive person. I am not a monster. I know it's hard to empathize with me. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt her way beyond what I can say, but I'm not a monster or a narcissist. I'm pretty sure you kind of are. Some people said that I never loved her, otherwise I wouldn't have cheated on her. This statement doesn't seem fair to me. You think you can kidnap the concept of love and tell another person what his real feelings are. You think you are inside my head or my heart. Only then would you know what I feel. You can't tell me that I don't love her. There hasn't been a day since she left that I don't regret it. No one can tell me this isn't love, like a therapist would. I feel like they might use the word obsession. Why am I here? Why am I doing this to myself? Lastly, humans are more complex than most people here think. Just because I cheated on her doesn't mean I don't love her or that I don't have feelings. I called what I did a mistake because how else would I call it? I thought part of accepting blame is accepting that that was my mistake. But everyone here takes those words as if I'm trying to twist the situation when that's not the case. You've completely twisted my words. I know how much I hurt her. Maybe in my post I'm focusing on myself because I was never able to explain myself to her. Since then, for me, it has been one attempt after another to put together a story in my head that doesn't make sense. I lost everything from one moment to the next. I simply try to open with my feelings, but it doesn't seem to work here, not for me at least. I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, the country she emigrated to, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless you are going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. Honestly, I'm going to respond to some comments below and then log off of Reddit for a couple days until I feel in a better place.
Very well. Where do I begin?
The irony isn't lost on me that he has spent this entire time arguing with himself whether or not he knows what his ex-wife is going through or what she's thinking or how she's feeling. And the moment someone else is trying to put a finger to what he's feeling or who he is as a person, he's up in arms and saying, we don't know what his real feelings are. Brother in Christ, you don't know what your ex-wife's feelings are. I've never felt so strongly to meet someone who's made a post before, but I genuinely feel like I need to find OP and hold his hands with a paper towel in between our hands and just let him know that he is a self-absorbed man. He can, on one hand, acknowledge the damage he's done, but on the other hand, he's upset at her for not putting up with his BS. And then I feel the sense of he thinks he has ownership over his wife because they've been together for 10 years. He was so quick to assume the infertility issues was from her and then tries to backtrack in his edit. And even then, he still says it's a female thing most commonly. He says that cheating is a one-time thing. It's just one damn time, he says. I don't know about you guys, but if someone stabbed me one damn time, I would think one time is enough. I don't think I need to give you a second chance to stab me again. And then he's upset that in the 2 years of him wallowing in self-pity, she was thriving. So he cannot compute that she's happy. No, she was probably just having revenge, intimacy to punish me wherever she is in Norway. And then this guy just randomly happened to be the one that was there. And so she's just pregnant for him by mistake. And she just happened to slip into the ring on her finger. It was on the floor and she just put her ring on the finger and they just happened to walk down the aisle. It's all a big mistake. She's coming back to me someday. When she sees my face, that sweet girl who I knew 10 years ago is going to come crawling back to me. All I have to do is let her see my face and then she'll love me again. It made me feel so icky to read this. I tried my best to read it out how I felt he was thinking, and even I felt like a creep. The only other time I have felt so uncomfortable listening to someone, I don't know if you guys know about the Kendra and her psychologist saga going on TikTok at one point. They both give me the same level of delusion. He seems to think that you as a person can decide the extent of the punishment or repercussion of your action, but that's not how it works. You cannot control how someone will react to your action. You can only control your action. If he could not control the cheating, you cannot control her leaving you. In the comments, a deleted user has confirmed what is their priority in all of this. And they said, I want to know who you cheated on her with. That's the pretty important information. OP responds though and says, it was a random woman that used to go to the same gym, nothing important, it didn't mean anything, not even for a second. I just was being an idiot. Ancient External 710 says, you don't seem to have any remorse for cheating. You just mentioned she somehow found out, so you are not planning on telling her. It's been 2 years. You need to accept responsibility for your actions and let go. She's never coming back. There's billions of people out there. Just heal, improve yourself with therapy, and I'm sure you'll get a second chance with someone else. You're only 35. And John Excrement perfectly worded my thought process, and they say, God, don't inflict on some other poor woman. He's clearly getting nothing whatsoever out of therapy. And I also wonder, when this person says you get a second chance, you're only 35, move on, heal. I'm a little curious to know if the advice would be the same if it was a woman who was writing this. AP does respond. He says, I do feel remorse for cheating. I'm a big mess right now, but I do feel remorse. Enough Pack 7468 says, if only half the people on Reddit had the self-respect your ex-wife has. An OP who is very active in the comment section responded, I don't blame her. I understand the pain I caused her, but I also think there are many couples who go through this and move on, especially when it was just one time. I never had a side relationship for months. I didn't cheat on her with multiple women. I didn't get another woman pregnant. I didn't cheat on her with her friend. Cheating is wrong, but are you really going to put me on the same level as a guy who cheated on his wife for years or cheated on his wife with her sister? It's not an excuse, but I'm asking for some coherency here. We do have an update from our favorite OP. He says, these days have been very strange. At times I feel numb and at others desperate. A lot of things have happened. I want to start by answering something and then I will update. Some people asked why Norway. I don't know exactly, but she is a polyglot. She speaks 6 languages. Many of these languages are connected to cultures that she always liked. Norwegian is just one of them. She has always been interested in Norwegian culture. She has been there before, but she's also interested in other cultures and speaks other languages. So for me, that was never an indicator that she might have gone to this country. Regarding the update, the first thing I will say is that this post reached some people in my circle. Sabrina's sister is on Reddit. She knows the story and realized it was me. She told Sabrina. Sabrina is angry at Nick for revealing information. Nick is angry at me for posting on Reddit, and because he says I pressured him to talk. I am angry at both of them for being 2 a-holes who watched me suffer for 2 years and decided not to help me. They didn't care about my marriage. Why should I care about their marriage? Sabrina could have given me my ex-wife's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping 2 friends mend their marriage. Meanwhile, no one cared about my feelings. I'm done with them at this point. Regarding my ex-wife, I've been thinking a lot. She can't just disappear. I convinced myself that if I searched hard enough, I could find something related to her. I followed some of her relatives from a fake Instagram account, but I never found anything related to her. I searched a lot, really a lot, and found a name that I had seen before but hadn't caught my attention until then. It was a lady with a name that is not typical in the United States or my wife's home country. She's not American. And a very strange last name. I went to her Instagram profile and she had no pictures or anything, just a small profile picture that you can barely see. I decided to look her up on Facebook and found the same lady with the same profile picture. Only her Facebook profile is quite open. She is indeed a lady from Norway. I checked everything I could on this profile. I was convinced that it had something to do with my wife. How else would a relative of hers have this woman in their friends? I saw a lot of pictures, people, plants, mountains, gardens, lakes, flowers, typical things that an older lady posts, until I came across a picture where my ex was dressed as a bride hugging a guy. I had to translate the text. The lady was congratulating her son on his wedding. There are a few more pictures, not many. There are even some members of my ex's family in the wedding pictures. The date of the pictures were from a year ago. A year ago, she married this guy. I don't understand. How could it happen so fast? When did she meet him? I honestly thought she got married after she got pregnant, not before. This baffled me even more. After that, I found another picture. It was a group picture and she was far away, but of course I recognized her. The same guy was with his hands on her shoulders, hugging her. This picture was from February 2023. To be clear, she left in May 2022. How is she with someone in February 2023? Only 9 months, and she's already in a stable enough relationship that he's introduced her to his family. What the hell is going on here? I feel like I have even more questions in my head now. I know I shouldn't be upset, but I am. I know I lost her because I was an idiot, but it's hard to get this feeling out of my head right now. Anyways, for those of you who imagined this fantasy that my ex is with some kind of Norwegian Chris Hemsworth, let me tell you, it's not like that. This guy is too tall, too blonde, too pale, hair is too long, and kind of chunky to be honest. He looks more like an old cartoon of Vikings and is definitely not a Chris Hemsworth. Oh no, my steak is too perfect. I managed to find his Facebook profile, but he has almost nothing there. His profile says he's an engineer who wears metal band t-shirts at 38. I don't know how to take this because I'm an engineer myself, just in a different field. Why would she look for a man with the same profession as me? My wife has always liked heavy metal, which I always found nasty, but I never complained. After all, your partner doesn't have to have the same musical taste as you. I mentioned this because maybe that's the way they connected. She used to connect easily with people who like the same type of music. I don't know, but I honestly look at it and think, where did she get this guy from? I mean, she can definitely do better than this. The pregnancy thing still messes with my head. I try not to think about it. I can't understand it. I'm not infertile like the comments suggest. I've been to the doctor and I know I'm not. But God, it kills me to think that she's going to have another man's child. I don't get it. I feel like this is beyond anything I've ever imagined. And no, I'm not going to go to Norway. I'm not going to try to contact her. I still want to see her and talk to her, but I obviously can't force her to do that. I have too much to deal with right now and too much to talk about in therapy. If by any chance this post reaches my ex, I want you to know that I still love you. You know where to contact me. If by any chance this post reaches the new dude, I want you to know that the only reason you have a chance with this woman is because a big idiot halfway across the world completely ruined it. You most probably met a woman who was probably very broken from her divorce. You took advantage of her situation and trapped her with a baby. You don't know how to play fair. To Sabrina and Nick, F you. I'm speechless. I think I just need to go lie down. He was fighting for his life in the comment section. I can't believe someone over the age of 30 thinks like this. He clearly acknowledges and is aware of his behavior and the thing he's done wrong. But then he compares his cheating and says, well, there's levels to cheating, guys. Okay, I didn't have a woman I was seeing for months. I didn't sleep with my wife's sister. I don't know if he's had thoughts about his wife's sister because that came out of nowhere. I didn't sleep with her best friend. Okay, guys, I slept with one woman one time. Don't compare me to the serial cheaters. It's just a one-time thing. Like, yeah, that 100% makes it better. He seems to have this belief that if other people can tolerate infidelity, why can't she? You weigh up your desires to cheat. You weigh up your selfishness against that person who you promised loyalty to, and your selfishness won that battle. Who's to say it won't happen again? But anyway, having now listened to the different types of revenge that I have for you guys, which one do you say was the most satisfying? Do let me know in the comments. But with that, we have come to the end of today's scroll down the rabbit hole. I do want to say thank you guys for sticking around and watching the video, listening to my annoying voice and putting up with my cringy memes. If you happen to have enjoyed today's video, please give it a like. That was 3 pleases. So, just like it, unlike it, like it, unlike it, like it. And you can also subscribe or get notified of when I post, which I try to post every Monday. Nothing so far, knock on wood, has caused me to not post on a Monday. So I will try to be consistent with that. And if you subscribe, you get a virtual hug from me, but you also help the channel grow. Finally, if you have your own questions, stories, or confessions, I would love to hear from you guys. We have our own subreddit, which is r/AshleyReddit. Feel free to post on there, and you never know, your story might be in the next video or might inspire me to make another video. Until next time, keep it nosy, keep it cozy. Ashley read it, and now, so did you.